Welcome back to Wolfworth Miniatures. Today we're going to learn how to paint your dragon. A couple of weeks ago when Squidmar released their new dragon, STRAKH, I bought a couple. And in the previous video, you saw me put that together, unbox it, and kind of review it. Today, what I wanted to do is kitbash it and convert it into a dragon for my Stormcast army. So that's what I did. I started off by first ripping apart the old base. I kind of carved it up. My whole idea was to do like a Roman kind of pillar aesthetic. So that's what I was going with. I ripped up the old base, I carved it all up, and my idea was to use some epoxy putty and wrap it around it to kind of make a pillar base shape. Using the pillar that the STRAKH miniature came with wasn't really working for me. And then I had an idea to use just a tube from the inside of a paper towel roll. So I used that tube and I wrapped some epoxy putty around that tube, and then I just used like another plastic tube to kind of indent it to make it look like the ribs of a Roman column. This took me a while. I was kind of just finicking with it. I've never done anything like this before, so I was kind of just figuring out as I went. I used some cork and some plastic card for the top, and then rolled up these like little tubes. I used a lot of tubes, but I rolled up some more epoxy putty and made these little, like, I don't know what you call them other than tubes on the sides here, and to kind of give it that pillar shape. Looking back at it and thinking back on it, I would have probably done this differently if I was going to do it again. I think I'd be a little bit more efficient this time, but overall I think it definitely looks exactly like what I was looking for. So also, because of the way the dragon was fitting, I needed to add like a little bit more height on top of the pillar because it was a little bit wider. I didn't really plan it out perfectly. So I added like this little like pile of stones on top, and my idea was to have like a dead Skaven on top of that where the dragon is like standing on. So I did that, just kind of built that up with epoxy putty, and then I stuck like cork rocks on top of it and just kind of glued everything on there. I also added some stones onto the bottom of the base to make it look like, some had fallen down. And I added a couple skulls in there as well. I broke up my Skaven a little bit and made him look like he's more dead. Kind of broke the arm so it's laying down. I broke the tail so it looks like it's like settled down and not sticking straight out, and I think that came out pretty cool. I like the way that looks, so I put the little Skaven on there. So for kitbashing for the dragon, I didn't want to change too much. I really like the way the STRAKH miniature looks, so what I wanted to do though was to add like a little bit of a saddle for my Stormcast rider. I also converted a Stormcast rider to fit onto the STRAKH because the ones in the box didn't fit perfectly, which that actually took a longer than it should have because I just kept trying to do it with glue and the leg kept breaking. So I finally ended up like just wire pinning the legs into the torso, and that ended up working a lot better. And then I just kind of carved out a little saddle for the dude on there, this is the first time I've ever done anything like that, so I think it came out pretty cool in the end, so I was pretty happy with it, but it was a little janky. I also glued on a little like metal helm piece, one of the Stormcast dragon like little armor plates. I put it on his forehead. Then I gave everything a good priming. It was time to paint. So I wanted to start with the base. Because I wasn't sure how much time I would have to finish all this, I just wanted to get at least one part of it done. So I'll start with the base because I thought that would be easy. Now I primed it gray because I thought I was going to do more of a stony gray color anyway. But as I was doing it, I kind of changed it. So if I was to do this again, I'd probably base coat it after that prime, but I didn't do that. So I started with just dry brushing. I was dry brushing like a bony white, and I just kept I added just different layers of dry brushing and stippling to kind of add texture. So I did a heavy dry brush over the whole thing, and then I went in with an ink wash that I really heavily diluted and kind of covered everything, so it kind of gave it a dirty sandy brownish tone, like an ancient ruiny kind of tone that I was looking for. And then I just went back through and dry brushed more over it. I kind of went back and forth over this for a while, just kind of adding like layers of it to kind of get more depth of color and like texture. I did that all over with the rocks on top too. And then I wanted to kind of add some like dirty down moss to kind of bring it all together. I thought the moss would look cool on there, so I added that to all the little cracks and on the rocks and stuff to kind of give it like an old ruin look, and I think that came out pretty cool. Painted the little Skaven on top, kind of similar to the way I've been painting my other Skaven in the other videos, that like my Walmart video and the Dollar General video. If you haven't seen those, that's kind of the color palette or color scheme I've gone with the Skaven, so I just kept that the same. And then I just rimmed the base black, and that was that. The base was done. Thought that came out pretty cool. I was pretty happy with that. This is what that looks like. And then it was time to move on to the dragon. So with this, I kind of really wanted to kind of dig into the airbrush. So I don't have a lot of experience with the airbrush like at all. I'm kind of spend more time cleaning it and fixing mess ups more than I do spraying the miniatures, I felt like. So I kind of usually stay away from them recently, into at least especially unless I'm doing or because mostly all I'm doing is like little small guys, so it doesn't really need to airbrush. But for this thing, I knew I had to bust it out. So which I'm really happy I did, because after airbrushing this dragon, I feel a lot more comfortable with the airbrush, just because I just was going back and forth. So with the airbrush, I just went in and I airbrushed the dark rust underneath to kind of give it like a dark shadow, and then just hit it with some reds, and then orange in the wingspan. So I kind of went back and forth. I was like really spraying it, trying to add some kind of shadows and details to it, and overall I think it came out pretty cool. But red dragon is what I was going for, and so I just kind of went in and hit it with a bunch of airbrush layers, kind of messing with it. And again, I was learning as I go. I'm very new to the airbrush, so I felt like I was learning a lot. By the end of doing it, I felt a lot more comfortable with like the mixing. So I think that was a good lesson I took away, is just if you want to get better, I mean, it's so obvious, if you want to get better at something, just do it a lot more. But I think it came out pretty good with the airbrush, so I'm happy with how that went. Next, I added another ink wash over it because I felt like the airbrush looked cool, but it took away a little bit of the texture just because of the way I was airbrushing. So I went in and added an ink wash to kind of bring out some more of the texture again. So after I did that, then I added in some layers of light and basically just tried to highlight everything, adding some texture. So I really was doing a lot of texture, like a lot of like moving the brush around to add texture through the whole skin, and then on the bones and the horns, doing them the same way that I've done in previous videos, and just kind of layer by layer adding texture. And I was trying to do as much as I can to try to get it finished for the video. Not 100% finished with it, but I think you could definitely see where I'm going with it. Also with the eyes, I did a neon green to kind of give it like a glow, which I think came out pretty cool. And so I think overall I learned a lot about building and painting a bigger miniature, and I'm pretty happy with the way it came out. So I want to show you guys the final result of this miniature build. So here you go. Again, it's not totally done. I had to add a little pieces to glue it on, so I still have to paint and finish some stuff, but this is kind of 90% done result, and I had to stop to make this video. So here you go. And there you go. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I think the takeaway from this is just do it. You know, if you have something you want to try, just go for it. You know, it'll end up probably looking cooler than you expect. Might not be exactly what you wanted, but who knows? You might even surprise yourself. You know, with the airbrush, I learned a lot, so I'm pretty happy about that. One thing I did also think about, I would hate to do like a big miniature for, I feel like, a golden demon or something like that, because I feel like if you really want to add like the level of detail to every little piece of a miniature, doing it on this, I mean, just not even finishing and trying to get texture on all parts of the skin, I was like, whoa, that would add up. So like thinking to like someone like Ninjon, who did the Vizek for Last Golden Demon, he did like 400 hours or something crazy, and you think like, yeah, that makes sense, because you really have to put in a lot. So I think overall I'm pretty happy with it. I'm not totally pumped about like the inner wing part, so I'll probably fix that, and I still have some stuff to finish. I didn't even do the character yet, the guy, but I was really happy with the base, and I think the dragon came out pretty cool. I like the red dragon, and yeah, besides the wings, I think it was exactly like what I was going for. Pretty happy about it. So if you guys want to get your hands on one of these dragons and try it for yourself, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and then follow me on Instagram at warforged.miniatures, and just send me a DM with a picture of your most recent miniature. I'm gonna do like a little poll once I gather like more people. I've only had a couple submissions, and we'll kind of like pick the winner, and I'll send them. I have one more STRAKH. I got 3, gave 1 away. This is one, and yeah, so I got 1 more to give away, and I really want to encourage some people to paint a miniature and send me a picture of it. So do that. And other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys like this content, please subscribe to the channel, like the video. It helps the algorithm. I also, in the description, I put a link to just like an Amazon affiliate link, so if you want to buy some stuff, or if you're interested in some of the stuff that I use to make the videos, that's down below. Other than that, that's it, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching, and peace out.